functional movement that I really love is called a lunge. And again, it comes in different varieties, just like the squat. We can do upright lunges, we can do hinge lunges, turned out lunges, parallel lunges, we can move laterally, we can move in reverse. But a lunge, what is kind of universal about a lunge is that it's asymmetrical. So if you think of a squat where your feet are like this or like this, your right and the left side are doing the same thing, right? In a lunge, you are in a staggered stance. So it's what we call asymmetrical. And it's very, very challenging for balance to be asymmetrical, but it's also much more representative of life. We rarely do things symmetrically side to side. And I think about just the example of walking, which is also a functional movement. That is an asymmetrical activity, right? One foot in front of the other. It's like a little mini, shift from one foot to the other, as opposed to what we don't do, which is hop through life, right? This would be symmetrical. Can you imagine if we're all like bunny hopping through life? That would be really rough on our joints, but we are asymmetrical when we are walking. So lunging is a really good way to strengthen the muscles that help with lunging, which we do throughout, like sometimes I lunge to pick up after my dog, for example, or I think about golfers who like lunge to grab the ball out of the hole. We lunge a lot in activities like tennis. So lunging exists in itself, and it's also involved in some way that asymmetrical movement in walking, which is something that we probably more universally do. So I'm going to show you, I'm just going to break down the different kinds of lunges that you're going to see at Alkalign. And you might think of examples of when you see them in life as well. But we really prioritize form and alignment at Alkalign because our whole goal is to keep you safe and to preserve your joints, which probably isn't the number one reason why you choose to move your body. But at the end of the day, that actually is what's going to allow you to move better over time, right? If you could have fewer aches, pains, injuries, and joint replacements, that would be a good thing. Even if you don't appreciate how important that is right at this moment, that is okay. Okay, so we're going to start in a upright parallel lunge position. I highly recommend you have a stable surface to hold on to. So it could be a wall. I put my hands inside like my door jamb sometimes, and I'll hold on to the wall. Sometimes I push my hands into the wall. I always make sure my hands are clean from the palm the wall. I'll hold on to a kitchen counter, back of a couch. You just want to avoid something that's really unstable, like a chair on wheels. So have a stable surface. You can do this anywhere that you are. Okay, so in a parallel lunge, let's start in parallel. Okay, I'm going to turn in profile so you can see the alignment of my body. I'm going to start with the right foot forward, step the left leg back, and evenly bend your knees. This is called an upright lunge. Okay, so always pause before you start moving. You want to align your bones, engage the muscles you need to stabilize and support that alignment, then move. Moving's always the third thing, and then moving faster is even less of a priority because a lot of times we move so fast that we lose, steps 1 through 3. So when you bend your knees, a couple things to check for. In an upright lunge, you want your knee directly over your ankle, not forward like this, and you want your back knee directly underneath your hips. So you can see I have two 90-degree angles between the lower and upper leg, both in the front and the back leg. And then sometimes we go full range of motion, or sometimes we'll go smaller range of motion. Sometimes we'll hold. But the front heel, traction that back. So you're going to fire into your hamstrings. These are your hamstrings on the underbelly of your leg and your glutes. What happens a lot, same thing that happens in lunges, our feet and shins are, in squats, feet and shins are tight, the knees will drift forward, and that puts a lot of unnecessary load in your knees. So I encourage you to traction your heel back, fire into the muscles. You can strengthen your muscles. You cannot repair wear and tear to your joints, right? It's just, they don't recover the same way muscles do. So traction your heel, back, stand up, lower down. Try a few of those. Notice I'm holding on. You can hold on with 2 hands, 1 hand. I have 1 hand on my hip. Okay. You should feel this quads, glutes, hamstrings. If you feel this in your knee, again, check the alignment. Check that you're tractioning your forward heel back, feeling this here and here, not here. And also play around with the range of motion. Like again, I see some people come too low in their lunges. You don't have to go low to make it effective. Okay, so that is an upright parallel lunge. Now we're gonna do a parallel hinge lunge. So same exact setup, except this time you're gonna hinge at that hinge that we talked about on its own, then talked about with the squat, same thing. So now you're still pulling your heel back, but you've got a little bit more load in the forward leg. I mean, I couldn't really pick up this back leg unless I was really holding on to something, and it would maybe shift some of that load into the forward knee. So keep your back leg down, but traction the front heel back, just like you did in the upright lunge. And you'll just notice a little bit more engagement. With the hinge lunge, just like squats, sometimes I see people hinge like doing like this. You actually want to bend your knees to get that up and down motion. So that is a parallel hinge lunge. Okay, now we're going to talk about a turned out lunge. This is a little bit trickier because this exercise focuses more on the inner and outer muscles of the quadriceps, the vastus medialis and the vastus lateralis. Those muscles don't typically tend to be as strong as what we think of with the quad muscles, which is the rectus femoris. So I'm going to start this. So this, I have to definitely hold on for this. Start with your heels together, toes apart. We're going to switch legs. So if you're up and like doing this, at least you'll get a little variety. This time, slide your right leg back, stay upright and bend your knees. Okay. So same concept of even distribution of weight between the front and the back leg. Same priority of holding on so you're not like this, throwing off your alignment. And then traction your forward heel back. This is just a little bit trickier because I see kind of variation in the knees. Some knees turn in, some turn out. If you have an imbalance in your inner and outer quad strength, which is very normal, sometimes you'll favor like pressing out or in. Sometimes that favoring one side or the other also comes from like how your feet are designed. Some people pronate, some people supinate, and all these different variations cause a chain reaction of other variation in your body. So it just is what it is, but just know where those variations are, because then we can adjust and we can be more aware, and then you can, over time you'll become more balanced. Awareness is the first step. Okay, so left leg forward, right leg back, upright. Again, same thing. Sometimes we hold, sometimes we work small range of motion, sometimes we go all the way up, all the way down. In all of these lunge positions, you are neutral. What I see people happen, especially in upright lunges, when people get tired, they kind of tilt their hips under and kind of lean back. You can sort of just like sit into your hip, and it actually feels like temporary, feels pretty good for like your quads, but you're putting a lot of strain in the back knee. So stay upright. If you get tired, instead of tilting under and adapting and trying to come into another position, just come out of your position and come back down. So there's no reason that says like you can't take a break. We're always worried about prioritizing quality over quantity. Okay, so last thing I'll show you in this position is the hinge. Right, same thing. You can hinge forward, traction your heel back. Again, if your knee's coming really far forward of your ankle, that's going to put a lot of accelerated wear and tear on your knees, which the knees, they take so much load because they're the midpoint between your hips and your ankles. That's a long lever. So just be kind to your knees, focus on your form, slow down if you have to, take breaks, hold on, repeat this video over and over, just keep practicing, right? Practice makes progress. But those are examples of a lot of the lunges that we do in class.